Back episode of the Relevant Recruiter Show. This is Donnie Gupton. As this thing gets going, if you can go in there and tap that like button, let me know that you can hear me, and we will get this show on the road here. So, trying to get myself up on my screen here. Give me one sec. Bang. Cool. So, thank you for being with me live right now. What we're going to do is we are going to talk about recruiting business development tips. And what I'm going to showcase here today is coming from my years of helping people, but also from validation from some hiring leaders that I was fortunate enough to interview a couple weeks ago. And so first I'm going to start off with sharing the takeaways from that. And then I'm going to share kind of some action steps that you can take to capture some attention, because I know for most of my clients, for most people I'm speaking to right now, and if you can go in the comments and let me know, has the market slowed down a little bit for you? I know this time of year generally, slows down from the actual hiring, but if you were going to put a pulse, I'd be curious, are you full steam ahead like you have been? Is it a 2022 year? Is it a 2023 year? If you can go in the comments, let me know. That'd be excellent about what's going on with your business. But a lot of people I'm speaking with right now, the big challenge is really capturing the attention of clients. And there's a lot of noise out there in the marketplace about how you can go about doing this. There's a lot of things that work, but I'm just going to share with you exactly, what happened on this interview I had. Now, if this is going to be really valuable, if you run a search firm, a recruiting agency, or a staffing firm, whether you're a boutique or independent, but really this is going to be valuable if you're really serious about building relationships and partnerships. If you're kind of more just looking to transact and make placements as much as you can, you probably won't find as much value in this training here. This is going to be more about seating you and getting you to be the go-to authority in your space. Okay, so in that interview last week, basically a couple of things that came up. So one is really looking at the feedback that was given in this panel interview. The high level points of it is really focusing on good quality communication throughout the recruiting process. That's obvious, just a reminder, okay? Making sure to take time to have personal connection with hiring decision makers. We're going to dig into this a lot. There's a lot of automated opportunity out there, and you really need to know how to do that right to make sure that you're able to leverage the tools, the automation, but also staying as personal as you possibly can. One of the other sets of feedback is really taking the time to understand their company, as well as really taking the time to understand the position before you reach out. So doing a little bit more upfront research. And again, I'm going to dive into these and how you guys can tackle this and execute on this here in a minute. And then the other thing is really making sure that you're an expert and being able to showcase your expertise through your track record of success, through your testimonials, and things like that. So that's the high level things that I walked away from. I think one of the things, the last thing that I haven't mentioned that is pretty interesting is how much they really like to know what the framework and system will be. And so, again, I'm going to lay all these things out for you here. But if you can hear me, go ahead and tap that like button. If you have any questions as I go into this, please drop them in the comments there. And then we're rocking and rolling. So the first thing I want to dive into is the importance of being the industry expert. Now, this has been something that, I've believed in for a long time, and that I've been preaching in the Relevant Recruiter program for a while. But, what you want to be focused on is really, what do you want to stand for and to who? The key to becoming what I call a relevant recruiter is first and foremost knowing who you're trying to be relevant to, and then packaging yourself so that when that prospect, comes by your website, your LinkedIn profile, whatever it may be, they know that you exist for them specifically. So that comes through picking a very specific, target market niche. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, right? You can, I would imagine a lot of you guys listening on here, this is just validating what you're already doing. But if not, Damon, get out of here with that Eagle stuff. Hope you're doing good, but if not, then you can niche based off of industry. You can niche based off of function, cybersecurity, for example. You can niche off of location, right? Bottom line is having some sort of target market. There's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do this, but I think the challenge with a lot of recruiters, especially those that have been in the game for a long time, is the old school approach of kind of being a generalist, or just kind of some of the tactics kind of force us to, you know, we're focused more on who we can recruit rather than the problem we solve for our clients. And when we can position ourselves as being an expert and authority to the clients, then we can generate more opportunities. And in a market like this, you have to keep in mind, you know, there's other people out there, other recruiters out there, and if, you know, they're not going to be handing over job orders for a lot of folks. So, you know, how do you differentiate? They're probably going to want to work with the experts. So you want to be able to drive that narrative. Okay. So how do you do that is go all in on your digital presence, and build a brand online that can really attract your clients. Okay. And, you know, your personal brand, when done right, and your online brand, when done right, will put you into a league of your own. But a lot of people shy away from that just because there's a lot of noise that, you know, this stuff doesn't work still for whatever reason. But I would just encourage you to have an open mind, go all in on digital in 2024, because that can build the presence that makes you different prior to the phone call. Okay. I want to do as much as I can to make sure that I'm capturing the attention of my audience before I get on the phone. I don't want to have to sell everything, sell myself so much when I get there. Okay. So the cool thing about being an expert is you're not selling anything to anybody yet. The cool thing about being an expert is you're just showing up and leading your market, adding value, and focusing on connecting with your market. Okay. So that brings us into the next point. So once you establish an expertise, you know, type of positioning, again, this is what the hiring decision makers are looking for right now. Then let's reach out with more of a personalized approach. Okay. Gosh, I can't emphasize this enough. You're not the only recruiter in town. You're not the only game in town. And what happens when I speak with a lot of people right now, I'm working with a lot of people, is like, oh, well, I'm doing a lot of outreach, but I'm not getting a lot of response. Well, it's like everybody's doing a lot of outreach right now. And there's not as many job orders to go around. Everybody's in BD mode. And so you have to be focusing on how you're showing up completely differently than the next recruiter. Okay. And so one of the common tactics out there is really like sending a bunch of cold emails, right? There's a lot of people that offer services around that, where they're going to set up all these different domains and they're going to just run a bunch of people through a bunch of cold email. It's not a debate of whether it works or not. Of course it works. Okay. But in my opinion, just going around and trying to sell your services in a market like this right now is going to get you ignored pretty quickly. And so the opportunity here is to focus more on a value approach when you reach out to somebody personally. Okay. And there's a fine line here. A lot of you guys have been following me for a while, know how much of a believer I am in technology and artificial intelligence and automation and things like that. But when you're trying to automate everything, is really where you start to get yourself into trouble. So making sure you have a good personalized outreach approach to your audience is going to be really impactful right now. And if you're a little bit slower, this is the time to do that. Now, I want to be focused on value. Okay. And that's going to get me way more attention, way more reception from my audience. And when you do this part right, don't think that you need to sell. Okay. You don't need to always be selling and showcasing and promoting yourself. You know, I use this analogy all the time, is like, if I go out and if you're not shopping for a car, but I'm sending you a bunch of emails about, you know, these awesome car rates I have, like, I'm not paying attention to any of that. But, you know, if you are going to be playing more of a long game, and yeah, I'm not shopping for a car right now, but, you know, you're going to tell me how I can save some gas money, or I can get some mileage, you know, more mileage out of it, or any tips, like tricks like that. Well, now you've got my attention. So when I do need to buy a car, you've got a little bit of value. You've put a little goodwill into my life already. And so I think that's a big opportunity, is when you're personalizing your approach, is to come from a place of value, not from a place of like, hey, I own a staffing company. We focus on IT. Let us know how we can help you out. Like, literally nobody cares. You know, so that whole helper positioning doesn't work, right? Be personalized, make it about them. Okay. And that kind of ties into the next recommendation, which is like, capture attention by showcasing your deep understanding of their company. So this is something that, again, that the hiring decision makers said that they need. So let me kind of paint a picture here for you. Let's say that there's two recruiters reaching out to a hiring decision maker, and one recruiter, they're both using the same tactic of job board chasing, which I don't love, because that puts you into really competitive waters, but I know a lot of folks are doing that right now. So if, let's say, you're going to job boards and then reaching out to the hiring manager, just be aware that Everybody else in town is doing that. You can win that way. But if I were going to try to do that approach, and I wasn't trying to just get a job order, but I was really trying to build a partnership with this company. If I were a recruiter that just reached out and said, "Hey, John, I saw your CFO position there online. My company, we've got, we focus and specialize on CFOs. And, we've got a track record of success of helping these people. Let us know how we can help you out." So that's approach A, and that's just what I'm coming up with off the top of my head. Or approach B, which is like, "Hey, John, I noticed that you have the CFO company or position open on your page. I noticed that you've actually had this position open for the last 45 days, and I also, just recently read this article that you guys are really, looking to get going with this ABC project. And so, I just wanted to reach out. We have a track record of placing CFOs for other companies. Name drop, name drop, name drop." And, we actually have a couple of really qualified resumes sitting on our desk right now. Let us know if we can help you out. That is going to help us a lot more. I'm being more specific. I'm taking the background. I'm looking into the company. I'm looking at the position. I'm telling how much time it's open. I'm not just scraping a job board and sending people through a cold email campaign. That's the next layer of how to do this and capture their attention. What's in it for me? Okay. That should be the question that you're asking yourself right now, is what's in it for me? And not saying that for you, that's what your market is asking. Okay. So you need to be asking what's in it for them, because that's what they want to know. And again, I'm going to assume that there's a lot of companies that are hiring right now. So me coming out and selling myself, that's what's in it for me personally. Has no benefit and value add to that company. Okay. So that's where really taking the time to do a deep background check. And so here's some really cool tools. If you guys aren't using Pager, check out Pager. Pager is an excellent tool. One of the things that Pager does is you can set up some notifications, and it'll kind of notify you when companies are funding or when companies have a new project or different categories, right? So that you can have this information coming to you for your direct outreach approach. Okay. Now you don't have to use just Pager. There's also like Google Bard. You can search companies that are getting funding. You can obviously go to other job boards. There's a lot of different ways that you can kind of reach out. But the research part, if going to Google, now the reason I like Bard is because it just gives me what I want off of one click. I don't need to go search through articles anymore. But that's an excellent way to really do some market research on your companies in an efficient way, so that when you do your personalized outreach, like, you have a ton of ammo just sitting right there. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that you can do that in literally a click. Like, once you learn that tool and you get into the rhythm of it, you'll learn the exact prompts that you want to do, and you'll be able to do this really quickly on the fly. So that's the other opportunities to help you with the research part, right? You might have more bandwidth right now, I'm not sure, but depending on what your team's set up, there might be somebody, an admin on your team. A virtual assistant can do this now. Shoot, with today's world, there's probably an AI bot that you could train to go out and do some market research on the companies you want to target. Okay. So the next thing is really, developing a framework and a process and a methodology. Okay. So what is your framework? What is your process? What is your system that you use? And so there's a kind of a two-part component with this. First, this is something that you should have internally in your organization. This is where this starts, is how do you guys deliver results for your clients? If you're an independent, probably not as necessary to have a formal process like this, but I think it would still be good for you to, write something like this down. But if you have a team, it's definitely necessary to have a process so that everybody delivers the same exact experience for your clients and candidates. Your team knows what it's going to be. Your customers know what it's going to be. And one of the things of feedback that came up on this panel I was hosting was how much these hiring leaders really liked when a recruiter could, showcase how they're going to get them the actual result, as well as provide expectations, provide, kind of check-in points. How are we going to do this thing here together? Right now, if you're used to just transacting, you probably never get the opportunity to have that type of conversation with your hiring leader, right? But if you're doing these other steps that I mentioned before, positioning yourself as an expert, having a personalized approach, coming to them at a higher level, then they're going to give you more of their attention. And because you're perceived as an expert, if they have a problem, not just missing with people, but they feel like there's just a hiring problem in the organization, you now become the most powerful resource for them. So how do you build your own process and framework? Well, let me just ask you this. If I were a friend of yours right now and I said, hey, Tom, I'm going to use a different name this time instead of John, we'll go, hey, Tom, I've got a couple open positions for my company. What do you recommend? Like, how do I make sure that I attract top talent? And so what I would encourage you guys to do is like, well, think about this from a holistic view. So for example, that might be like, well, the first thing you need to do is you need to, package your offer, meaning that you need to make sure that you've got a clear job description and you need to make sure you have great employer branding and how we're going to sell this opportunity to the market. All right. Maybe that's step one. I don't know. I'm just pulling out some ideas here for you. Maybe step two then is that, we're going to do a market map of all the candidates available in your market. And then we're going to do our outreach process. And then from there, we're going to send over 3 to 5 qualified candidates. And then we'll help you with debriefing on the interviewing process. We'll debrief the candidates and communicate with that to you ongoing. And then we'll help you with onboarding and offering. Okay, so that's what you need to have. Is like, here's how you're going to solve your problem, John. You need to have, a great place to sell the offer. You need to map the talent in your market. Then you need to go do a great job of outreaching. You need to have a very thorough, efficient interview process to make sure we capture the attention of this talent. And then we need to make sure that we've got a good offer and on board. Now, here's where I come into this process, right? And that's when I can come. I'm going to take over these parts, and I can help consult with you guys on these parts. But this is the part I'm going to take over that process. Here's how I'm going to communicate with you those steps. So that puts you into a different league, right? Are they going to give you the job because you've got a process and somebody else has got 15 years of executing and delivering? No. But when you're going up to somebody apples to apples, right? And there's somebody that can say, hey, John, here's clearly how I'm going to get your results, versus somebody that's going like, no, I can definitely deliver that. The person who can articulate that is better. And this is a big part of branding. And that's where the framework actually can come in. This is where a lot of people, I think, overthink is like, you can drive a brand narrative. Some of these things are obvious to you. What I kind of teach on every single week are obvious things for me. This is where my expertise lies. So there's things for you that you're an expert at that's kind of boring and monotonous to you, but it's still very valuable to your clients. Okay. So being able to propose, and if you build the system for your company and how you actually run this process, then you can turn around and market that process and sell that process to your clients. Okay. This is very similar to what I do with the Relevant Recruiter method. Okay. If you come into my program, the Relevant Recruiter method is actually built in how I actually develop and help my clients get results. But when I go to market, I still use the same things to market and showcase how I'm going to get the results, right? So there's obviously a different way this runs operationally in the back end in my systems and processes, but then I can also market this to make myself stand out more in the marketplace, right? So if you want to be a relevant recruiter, what you need to do is you need to stand out in the marketplace. You need to turn LinkedIn into a lead machine. We need to get you into a habit that creates content and converts. We need to do this on multiple channels, and that's how you can become the most relevant recruiter in your audience. Okay, so that's very simply how you can market your methodology and process. Okay. Now, one of the other ways to be able to do that is having a guide would be the best place to market, right? Creating a resource, some sort of guide, doing a training like this, right? Where you're going to basically showcase these steps of this process to get this moving forward in the right direction. And that guide becomes a lead magnet where you can say, hey, I'll give you this process that we've created in exchange for your information so I can follow up. All right. So that's the idea with this whole process. Hey, if you guys are liking what I'm sharing, if you guys can go tap that like button or give me a comment you're liking this value, I would appreciate that. We're going to come down to this last point. And if you have any questions, feel free to go in there and drop them. I see your question, Abdul. I'll get that here in a minute. Let me just close this last point down. So this couldn't be, I think this is probably the easiest, lowest hanging fruit. It's also the place that most recruiters just shy away from. And when it comes to building an online brand, and not even an online brand, but like just being able to sell yourself to your clients, guys, I will tell you very confidently right now that if you want to grow your recruiting business and you want to build a brand online, I believe firmly that I'm the very best person to help you do that. But what will make that more powerful is when you go to my testimonial page or when you go to my LinkedIn profile and you see all of my clients saying those types of things. So the opportunity is the same for you. Rather than saying, hey, I'm the best accounting and finance recruiter, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let my clients do that talking. So first and foremost, you want to be able to, when you're doing marketing, control your narrative and prove to your market that you are doing already successfully what they want you to do for them, right? So what does this look like? Well, I want to be able to, in my marketing, showcase and share my client and candidate testimonials. Now, there's a way to do this in a way that's like tasteful and not, not where you feel pretentious. And the way to do that is really celebrate your client and candidate. Tell a little bit of a story about that. Okay. It doesn't always have to be a black and white testimonial. Sometimes it can just be a story about how you helped a candidate or a client in a situation. You're establishing relevance. Okay. But then when I can get that testimonial and somebody says, yeah, working with John, he was a very thorough recruiter. He's communicated. He took the time to understand my company and my organization. I can tell you that, or somebody else can. And it's always that much more powerful. So showcase your testimonials online so you can control that narrative. Now, once I get into that sales meeting, okay, once I get into the actual meeting, then I want to be able to drop some actual track record type of stuff as well. Okay. So like as you're in your sales conversation, you want to be able to, again, control this narrative in because your client wants to know this. Okay. So if you're not doing this right now, then please stand up boldly for yourself in these calls and step outside of your comfort zone and start talking to your clients like you're the shit. So that might be like, hey, John, I appreciate this opportunity. You've seen my framework. Now, here's one thing I want to really clearly convey is that, this system and the results that our clients, see is typically, let them know what that is. Like, do you have any metrics that you are after? We're going to get you some resumes in X amount of days, right? We're going to get you X amount of resumes in X amount of days. I don't know. Everybody's a little bit different with this, right? But most importantly, John, what you need to know is that this year alone, we've already placed X amount of these people. Or over our career in our company, we've placed over 100 CFOs in companies just like yours. So we have a proven track record of success. And, I've got some testimonials right here to back that up, right? So prior to getting on a phone call, one of the things that you could do is actually do a little Loom video, hey, and give them some of this information, give them some of the testimonials. You can, depending on, if you're using the scheduling software, you can set up some things that are automated. When somebody schedules a call with me, they usually get directed to, after that, they'll get directed to the YouTube page that I have. And that's where they can go see more client testimonials. Again, I want somebody to get on the call with me that believes in what I have to offer and knows what we're going to be talking about, so that, that's a better call for everybody involved. Okay. But those are the 5 things that you can do right now to capture the attention of the market. I think that what's important is your mindset right now. And right now, for some that are watching this, I'm going to imagine that some of you are in a little bit of a scarcity mindset. Okay. Not sure when your next order is going to come by. Some of you that might be watching this, feel the slow, going on. You're not sure exactly what you want to do, but it's out there. And some of you that might be watching this, things haven't really changed for you. But the bottom line is everything that I just laid out for you, no matter if you're needing more or if you're trying to survive, this is the plan through. But I need to be thinking long term, because the energy of I'm desperate, nobody ever wants to work with. And so if you're going out and you're sending a bunch of automated email campaigns and this, that, and the other, and you're just trying to pick up quick wins, nobody is going to respond to that. So there has to be a level of mindset that you come out with that says, hey, I'm good right now. Okay. You can be dealing with some internally things, but I'm good right now. And that's how I'm going to approach the market, because every time, we go into a downturn, I'm not an economist. I don't know if a recession or not. I'm just reading the writing on the wall. There's something going on right now. Okay. So every time this happens, unfortunately, there's people that don't make it out of it. And then, fortunately for other people that really take their life and take their business by their own hands, they actually end up coming out of this on top. And so if you consider going out and going all in and betting on yourself to take advantage of this dip in this little, whatever it is, I'm not saying, I don't know what it is. I'm not an economist, but where you can go on and capture some market share. Because just like in COVID, okay, when COVID happened, I had probably 40 people join my program within 2 months of COVID. And these people right now are in a massive position of success, because while a lot of people were kind of shrinking down and pulled up, hoping not to die, they were just taking their business into their own hands and being proactive and investing into themselves and investing into their company. And they played the long game. And hey, once COVID spun out, they had so many conversations and so much more quality activity going on that everybody, they had floodgates open once COVID happened. Okay. So that's the importance right now of being proactive, is so that you can capture market share. But more importantly, I'm a big believer in the brand. And as you look around and as you have conversations with, your friends, and you see peers in your community, I want you to ask yourself this: when, and it's going to be unfortunate because it's going to happen, people are going to go out of business, they're going to close their doors. Which of those people have a brand that they can rely on? Okay. This industry, the recruiting industry, if you're not all in on your online brand, you will be left behind. Okay. I'm not saying it's the only way to generate business. It's not what this is about. It's about the long play. The game is changing. The game is shifting. Yeah, you need to make cold calls. Yeah, you need to be on the phone with your hiring leaders. Do not get that confused. But your ability to drive your narrative around your brand, it's fine if you don't do it, but other people are, and they're going to move faster than you are. They're going to capture more attention than you are, because this is the way people are making decisions nowadays. Okay. So if you are in a place right now in your business where you want to level up and you want to see what's out there for you, you want to take control of your own business, then send me a link, or send me a direct message, or drop a comment, and I'll reach out. We can set up a phone call and I can talk to you about how my solution and strategy can help you out. At this point in time, my program has had 400 people go through it successfully. Most people that go through that return 6 figures plus annually on their investment. You just need to be ready to rock and roll up your sleeves and do a little bit of work. Okay. But we don't even need to go that far. Right now, I'm offering 45 minutes of my time for you to get clarity on your strategy for 2024. Okay. So just drop a comment below, send me a direct message. We'll set up a time to chat. And again, if you found this training valuable, please go in the comments and let me know. Give me a little like and love, and I would appreciate that. And I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions now. So how do we get past gatekeepers that are told from upper management not to speak to a recruiting company? Well, that kind of comes back into that positioning approach. Right now, Abdul, the harsh reality is they probably just view you as another recruiter reaching out. And yeah, the company doesn't want to do that. But if you were an expert in the arena and you could showcase that you had a deep understanding of a problem that their organization was struggling with, then you're talking executive language. And I think that that's one of the ways that you can help get around the gatekeepers. There's not ever a foolproof way, but that's also one of the things that's great about content, is I don't need to get around a gatekeeper. I can just let them consume that. And there's just right and wrong way to do that. You can waste a lot of time with creating content. But that's, those are some of the ways that you can get past gatekeepers here. So let me know if there's any other questions. Devon, thank you for hanging out. Abdul, Scott, always good to see you on here. But guys, let's go. Let's take action right now. If you're looking to play big, whether you're looking to survive right now or thrive right now, you have a very big choice in front of you. You can take what I just gave you and run with it, do nothing with it, or you can take action right now. Schedule a meeting, no obligation. Send me a direct message. I appreciate you guys. Keep your head up, keep fighting, and we'll